Hi everybody! I am finishing up a life-size sculpture right now. It feels really good to be doing that. And as I finish her up, I am also starting a new project, which is also really exciting. So I made this reclining Buddhess. Her name is Shanti, and I made her for my boyfriend's 30th. And my friend Nick saw this piece on Facebook and he really liked her, and his 70th is coming up. So I'm making this. It's a commissioned piece from his wife for his 70th birthday. What I'm going to be building is kind of a medium-sized sculpture. You've seen me build life-size sculptures. I don't think I've actually done a video of building smaller sculptures, so that'll be another fun video to do sometime. But I do a lot of smaller sculptures like this, and then it's a little more rare that I do kind of a medium-sized piece, but I really enjoy them because you can kind of get, you know, some of the really fine details that you can get with a life-size piece, but you can kind of crank them out a lot faster. Yeah, now that I'm saying it, maybe I should build more medium-sized pieces. I don't know why I don't do more of that. Yeah, but anyways, I'm really excited to be doing this. So I'm going to start by building an armature. I've talked about this process a little bit before. I'm taking the wire that they use to make chain link fence, bending that by hand into the shapes that I need, welding it, and then we're going to wrap that with lath on the larger parts and window screen on some of the smaller and more delicate parts. We're going to fill that with cement. We're going to sculpt with epoxy and include some red dirt, and also I'm going to be including some of my very good friend and mentor Dave Davis's ashes. I built a different piece named Francesca. She was Dave's muse. I don't actually know what her name was, but there was this red-headed lady in like so many of Dave's paintings, and I asked Dave about her one day. You know, I figured she must have been a real person, you know, because she just kept reappearing in piece after piece of his. So I asked him, you know, is she a real person? And he said, no, you know, she's just somebody from my mind. You know, but she was in so many of his paintings that I just kind of felt like she really was Dave's muse. And so when Dave passed on, I was given some of his ashes by his daughter, and I put some of his ashes into Francesca, and you know, so that he can kind of be with his muse forever. Nick was Dave's friend as well. They were friends for like 30 years. So I thought it would mean a lot to him to have a little bit of Dave's ashes in this piece too. So there's going to be quite a bit going on in this piece, and I'm kind of using this smaller piece as a little bit of a model. And I've got like a big tangle of wire here. This is like part of a different sculpture that I built. Sometimes you build a whole framework and parts of it just kind of don't work. You know, sometimes you can kind of rebend and work with what you have, but other times it's better to just kind of cut the whole thing out. So this is some stuff that I've cut out. I'm going to see if maybe I can reuse some of it. And then I've also got some nice new wire because some of that is just garbage. So yeah, that's what's happening right now. I'm excited to be starting a new sculpture. just wanted to explain a little bit more about what I'm doing. I took the lath and I wrapped her legs in that. And part of that was because I wanted to add a little more bulk to her legs than what I had in the wire. But I was pretty happy overall with the shape of her torso. So rather than doing this lath that's kind of, you know, when you put it around a big piece it's easier, but around a smaller piece like this it's just, it doesn't get as much good detail as you can get with the window screen, but it's stronger, you know. So, but you know, on a smaller piece like this, you know, you can put the window screen and that's just fine. So what I did was first I sewed the window screen to the armature, and then that was kind of a pain. So I found some thinner wire, because the reason I had to sew at first was because the wire I normally use is too thick to go through these holes. But then I found some thinner wire and I was able to just do it the same way, just wiring it to the armature. And yeah, then what I did is I left a hole at the top here where I didn't cover it with window screen. And so then when I mixed up the cement, I just took like a spoon and I just ladled it in there basically, and it worked great. And yeah, this is the Quikrete aggregate cement. It is the kind that you would use to like set a fence post, and it's great because it is quick set. So it takes, you know, maybe half an hour to basically set the shape, and then of course it takes longer to fully dry. But I like that for filling a piece. You know, if I was doing more fine details and stuff, I would want a little more time to work with it, and I wouldn't want that aggregate in there. But the aggregate, it makes it nice and strong, and the Quikrete is great for just filling something up like this. So now that I've kind of filled up the larger parts, I haven't filled up her head yet, but I'll come back to that. Now that I've filled up the larger parts, I'm going to take some of the Quikrete vinyl concrete patcher, and that's like a little bit of a thinner mixture of concrete. You can get a little more detail with it, and it's stronger because it's got the vinyl. Well, it's not stronger. Actually, the aggregate makes this Quikrete really strong, but if you're not going to have aggregate, then the vinyl, it makes the cement stronger and kind of makes up for the fact that it doesn't have aggregate, which is just those gravel pieces, the little gravel that's inside the cement. Yeah, so I'm going to mix up some of that. We're going to fill up her calves and her arm, and then yes, she is going to get another arm here. I'm going to weld a piece, you know, along here, having her arm like resting along her hip. But basically, I just wasn't quite ready for that. I wanted to get this concrete done first, but I'm going to leave a little bit of metal exposed up here and here so that I can weld that piece and do that part in a little bit. And that's also why I haven't totally done her head yet, because it needs to like connect up here. So yeah, a little bit at a time. Everything's a process. All right, so I finished filling the armature for my Buddhess, and I filled her with cement. Normally I wouldn't do that with a sculpture because it will just kind of make it pretty top heavy if it's an upright sculpture. But since she's a reclining sculpture, filling it with cement actually kind of helps with stability, because it really helps her weight be evenly distributed across and just kind of firmly planted on the ground. Yeah, so I filled her with cement, and now I'm going to start sculpting her in epoxy. So I have the Easy Carve. I chose that one for this project because it is a white color when it cures, and so that means that you can mix things into it to like dye it. So what I'm going to do is I have some red dirt from Moab, Utah, and we're going to mix some of that in there. And I did this on another piece before, and I really liked how it turned out. It really gives the skin like a freckled quality, and it really looks very lifelike. So I'm excited about that. So you get roughly equal amounts, put them together like this. Start by twisting them. That helps you mix it more evenly. And then you just knead it until it's all mixed up. Alright. So once you get it all mixed up, it's going to be really sticky. And then you can just kind of batter it in your dirt. Alright, then from there you want to roll it. Again, to kind of help distribute the dirt evenly through. And you keep mixing it. And then once you have it all mixed in, you can do the same thing if you want to add some more dirt. Just batter it again. And there it is, ready to sculpt with. My boyfriend is actually the one who thought of this idea to mix dirt into the easy carve, and it's one of my favorite techniques now. I really like doing it because you can get all kinds of different skin colors. And basically what I do is I take a paintbrush and sometimes get it a little bit wet, you know, but not too wet, and then you get some dirt on there, and you can basically just paint it with the dirt. And if the epoxy dries out too much, you can just spray it a little bit, and then you can even wet your brush on what you just sprayed there, get some dirt, and then you can just paint it. Paint the epoxy with the dirt and shade it, and you just are kind of tapping that brush in there. And the brush also gives it texture. And if you want a little bit of a deeper texture, you can use like a really crusty brush, which I'll show you in a minute. I have a really crusty one. But I'm trying to keep this brush nice. It's hard to keep a brush nice when you do this, but I'm trying. You just want to like wash it off right away. Alright, so now this is my crusty brush. We're going to dip that. It used to be nicer. Now it's crusty, but you can get a nice deep texture with that just by kind of tapping it in there. That's all I'm really doing there. And then you want to kind of blend it a little more. That line's kind of stark. We want to blend it so it's not so harsh. Also, when we manipulate the easy carve like this, we kind of bring some of that stickiness back out, so our dirt will adhere better. There we go. Now we can really shade it out. Yeah, there we go. And then we come back in with that texturing brush. Get that. That's going to be nice right there. I'm so happy to see Ishani, the Reclining Buddhess, all finished. She's been such a joy to create. It's been so wonderful getting a chance to create this meaningful piece for my friend. Happy birthday, Nick, and thank you all so much for watching. Bye!